Come in, come in, come in. Team! We're doing it again! Team!
What?
Skater.
Later, skaters!
After a while, crocodile.
We'll see you at the Oscars.
Is that tonight?
It's the night, yeah. That's actually where we're going, you and me. Going to the Oscars.
And what's one movie you saw this year, aside from your own movie, that you just loved?
Josh, what's one movie we saw this year that we loved? One movie we saw this year. I mean, we enjoyed Licorice Pizza a lot.
Tremors.
We saw I mean, like...
I miss Josh.
Rachel Zegler and Josh Andres Rivera have reportedly called it quits, but unlike most celebrity breakups, this one feels different. It wasn't a quiet fading of romance. It was a full-blown implosion, fueled by an unrelenting media storm, intense public backlash, and the shadow of a once bright career now hanging in the balance.
I think it's fair to say that no one can stand the star of this movie.
There's a big focus on her love story with a guy who literally stalks her. Yeah. Weird.
This is truly, like, she has to go. I'm sorry, Disney. She has to go.
And if you disagree with this sentiment, just hit the unfollow button. I don't need your business.
This is someone who is as entitled as, I don't need your business. You know what? Maybe Disney does. Maybe you're a tool, you're a pawn in this film. You didn't write it. You didn't direct it. You have nothing to do with the creation of Snow White. Right. You should shut up and do the job.
I can also be having the greatest time and simultaneously wishing people would stop sending me death threats.
There's something wrong with her. She's disturbed, she's unhappy, and she thinks it's about feminism and the patriarchy and about abortion. But the reality is she's just not stable, like the majority of people in Hollywood. They're just not stable human beings. I would highly advise that you boycott this film, no matter how much your children love Snow White.
Controversy has swirled around Gal Gadot's new movie, also starring Rachel Zegler as Snow White. A lot of people don't like her. A lot of people don't like her either. She's got a big mouth. She talked trash about the original movie.
I know this point has been made, but this truly is the worst casting maybe in the history of the film industry. Has there been a film with worse casting than this? And I don't just mean the Snow White actress. Obviously, she's terrible, but both of them.
Doom is a love story just because, we cast a guy in the movie, right. Andrew Burnap. All of Andrew's scenes could get cut. Who knows? It's Hollywood, baby.
Oh, man.
Hello, Disney. You're going to have to redo your film again because this woman is a pig.
And you there are 18 hours in a dress of an iconic Disney princess. I deserve to be paid for every hour that it is streamed on.
According to multiple sources close to the former couple, Josh had done his best to be a steady source of support. He stood firmly by Rachel's side when the Snow White controversy first erupted, brushing off the noise, the trolls, and the waves of criticism directed her way.
When you're sitting next to someone that is so proud of you and that you're so proud of, it just makes it just clicks. Everything just makes so much more sense.
Over time, though, the noise swelled into a roar, and what began as quiet support eventually gave way to exhaustion. The pressure, the memes, the endless discourse, none of it stayed outside the relationship. It seeped in, and once it did, it fractured them. Insiders paint a grim picture of Rachel's emotional state in the weeks following Snow White's premiere. Publicly, she projected defiance, posting, defending herself, trying to hold her ground. But behind the scenes, those close to her say she was unraveling. She was glued to her phone, reacting to every jab online, jumping into every thread where her name appeared, spiraling into what some described as a fragile mental space. One friend admitted they were deeply concerned, saying Rachel seemed on edge all the time and that even the smallest criticism could send her reeling. Josh, once the calm counterweight to her whirlwind, allegedly began to withdraw, first less present, then less patient, and finally absent altogether. And in the end, it wasn't hard to see why. Rachel had become the internet's main character, for all the wrong reasons.
Please welcome Rachel Zegler and Gal Gadot.
Visual effects push the boundaries of what we see on screen.
Their work makes the impossible seem possible.
With breathtaking ambition, they create magic that wraps its arms around our wildest imaginations.
Here are the nominees for Best Visual Effects.
But it was for all the wrong reasons. The shift began during the press tour, when her interviews started circulating, not as feel-good promos, but as viral cringe content. There was the infamous moment where she smirked into the camera and declared she deserved to be paid every time her movie was streamed, a clip that spread like wildfire and cemented her as the face of out-of-touch Hollywood in the eyes of critics online.
We're like, oh wow, Snow White flopped. Who is surprised? You cast arguably the least genuine, most out-of-touch and disliked person in our industry, and her industry is Hollywood. And the bad guy is Gal Gadot.
Stand there 18 hours in a dress of an iconic Disney princess? I deserve to be paid for every hour that it is streamed online. It wasn't just the words, it was the tone. Arrogant, smug, stripped of the poise audiences expect from the face of a Disney fairy tale. Instead of embodying the sweet, hopeful energy of Snow White, she came across like the antagonist, cocky, combative, and painfully unaware of how she was being perceived. And then came the optics. Every time Rachel was photographed next to Gal Gadot, you could practically cut the tension with a knife. What should have been a charming, wholesome pairing between a Disney princess and her evil queen instead played like two reluctant co-workers stuck in an HR mediation session.
Snow White gets her name, not from the fairness of her skin, as we obviously know Rachel Zegler would be a miscast in that sense. Instead, she gets her name from surviving a snowstorm.
At the Oscars, fans didn't even need a slow-motion breakdown to catch it. Gal's body language said it all. For viewers at home, it grew increasingly obvious that Gal Gadot wanted no part in Rachel's mounting PR disaster. But perhaps the biggest nail in the coffin wasn't the personality clashes or the awkward interviews. It was the film itself.
Disney is having its own problems. They're finally releasing the latest adaptation of Snow White, but they're scaling back the Hollywood premiere of the film. Kinsey, why is that?
Because Rachel Zegler is a PR nightmare.
Instead of resonating with modern audiences, the film landed like a lecture. The magic, the charm, the sense of wonder, gone. In their place stood a self-serious rebranding that stripped away everything people cherished about the original. Even die-hard Disney loyalists, the kind who usually defend remakes no matter what, walked away saying, "This just isn't Snow White." Rachel clung to the idea that this was a bold new chapter in storytelling, but audiences weren't buying it. They didn't want to be re-educated by a movie meant to enchant them. They didn't want their nostalgia rewritten by someone who openly dismissed the original as weird. And in that disconnect, between what Rachel believed people wanted and what they actually longed for, everything began to crumble.
Audiences walk away from this film with an understanding of the true meaning of fairness, of what it means to be fair in this world. There is a message that's been carried on for almost 90 years now from the original animated classic. That is, fairness is what is within. Fairness is to do with your heart, the way you treat the people around you, and it has nothing to do with what you look like, and that's the misunderstanding between Snow White and the evil queen. I think it's such an important message, and the way that Disney has elevated it and brought it to this new audience is very special.
From her public image to her relationship, from her industry backing to her once rising star, the fairy tale had curdled into a cautionary tale. And it all began with a young actress who thought she was being bold, but forgot the power of being kind. Rachel Zegler's Snow White press tour didn't just stumble, it detonated. What should have been a graceful charm offensive turned into a string of combative sit-downs and viral clips that cast her in the worst possible light. Instead of forging a connection with audiences, she delivered what felt like a series of condescending TED Talks, layered with sarcasm and superiority. She mocked the original Snow White as creepy and weird, dismissed the very idea of Prince Charming, and seemed more interested in dismantling the classic than celebrating it. In doing so, she didn't just distance herself from the film, she distanced herself from the fans who loved it. That's when the tide turned. Gen Z rolled their eyes. Millennials logged off. Boomers tuned out. In one sweep, she managed to alienate nearly every demographic. Then came the numbers. A $45 million opening weekend, barely a whisper by Disney standards. Snow White collapsed almost instantly under the weight of its own hype and backlash. Audiences didn't simply stay home. They mocked its failure in real time, turning the film's flop into a kind of internet holiday. Its IMDb rating plunged to a humiliating 1.6, one of the lowest in the platform's history. Memes compared it to infamous cinematic disasters like Cats and Morbius. Theaters began quietly pulling it from premium slots, swapping it out for anything, literally anything, that could draw more foot traffic. Animated reruns were outperforming Disney's own live-action tentpole. And instead of mourning the flop, the internet celebrated it, treating the film's failure less like a disappointment and more like a collective victory.